room here, right? That's fine. Okay. We didn't go through the S&P last week. It came out last week. We'll go through it today. I'm going to preface this by saying I am really excited about 2011, although the reports that I'm going to go through today might not get you too excited. But the reality is reality, and I think being informed is going to help you have the right conversations with your sellers or buyers. We'll talk about how these reports can help which client segment as well. Before we do that, I just wanted to go through just some quick numbers from our market, Portland in general, from a brokerage perspective. We ran through some preliminary numbers last week about where we were, what our agents had done and produced, and so I pulled up, obviously the year ended, slightly by $1,000 from the year before, which is interesting because what happened in the overall market?
Went down.
Right? Didn't the average sales price or the average home sell for less this year than it did a year before? So I thought that was interesting. If you look at any of the other top 10, 15 brokerages, probably 90% of those brokerages, their average sales price went down, which is expected. That's what happened in the market. But we saw an increase in our average sales price. We sold $110 million more of volume this year than the previous year. $110 million of real estate more. We sold 382 extra homes this year from the previous year. So we sold a total of 891 homes in 2010, more than any other single brokerage in the city. So that's 891 total homes. So when he talked about being new and going and presenting to his clients number one in something, or being able to have some value to share, these are numbers that you should be writing down and perhaps sharing. So more total units than any other single office in the city. Our sold buyer sides went up by 199 sides, and our listings sold went up by 183 more listings sold this year than the year before. Our market share, and here's what's interesting, right? Our signs out in front of people's homes, our market share we're at 2.53%. 2.5% of the entire market in Portland was sold by our office, which puts us third in the city for total market share. We were at 1.14% market share the year before. So we saw a 45% growth in market share. Only one other office saw an increase in market share over the previous year, which means that most of that loss, right, ended up coming through and into our office, which is a great sign. So we're at about 2.5%. 43% growth in sold units and 43% growth in sold volume. So really counterintuitive to what was going on in the market here at this office. When you look at Keller Williams as a brand, in the city, we saw an interesting change in trend as well. So I pulled out the top 150 brokers in Portland Metro from 2010. The top 150 brokers. 16 of them were Keller Williams. 6 were brokers right in our office, which is huge. So 6 brokers in our office were the top 150. 10 of the top 100 were Keller Williams agents. So 10% of the top 100 were Keller Williams agents, which is nice to see as well. And 3 Keller Williams agents were in the top 20. So top 20 agents in the city, 3 of them were Keller Williams agents. So I just wanted to share that with you before we get into our economic report, just as sort of an overview of what our office did and then what Keller Williams did in branding itself and connecting with top agents around the city this year. So S&P report. S&P report came out last Tuesday, and this was the headline. U.S. home prices weaken further as 6 cities make new lows. How many people read the S&P report? Work is not done. So 2 of us read the S&P report.
Who wants to read it after hearing a headline like that?
Well, we're a week late. Our client saw, right? Well, that's true, Tasha. Our client saw that headline a week ago. So if we didn't read it and we don't understand it, that's a disservice to our clients. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what it says. The S&P Home Index shows a deceleration in the annual growth rates in 18 of the 20 market center areas. while the composite housing prices are still above their spring 2009 lows, so compositely, we're above where we were in spring of 2009. That was deemed the bottom on a national level. 6 markets hit their lowest levels since home prices started to fall in 2006 and 2007. Those 6 markets: Atlanta, Charlotte, Miami, Tampa, Seattle, and Portland. So Portland hit its low. Remember, it's always a couple months back, so in October it hit its low. It was lower than it was in the spring of 2009, the home price index. So just a bit of an explanation about that, or over the market in general. Remember, this is seasonal as well, right? But it says October was the 5th consecutive month where the annual growth rates moderated from their prior month's pace. So the 5th consecutive month where that growth rate actually slowed, confirming a clear deceleration in home price returns. Remember, we had seen earlier in the year a somewhat steady increase in prices. The market was some well, it's coming back. That was centered around those tax credits as well. It says the 10-city composite posted a 0.2% annual growth rate in October versus the 5.4% reported growth rate reported just 5 months prior in May. So do you see how that increase has decelerated? We went from 5.4% increase back in May to now a 0.2% annual growth rate. And the 20-city composite actually is now in negative territory, down 0.8% in October versus up by 4.6% in May. On a year-over-year basis, sales are down more than 25%, and the month supply of unsold homes is about 50% above where it was during the same months of last year. So sales are down, inventory's up, right?
You'll get your unfair share.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I shared the numbers before I went through this, for our office's unfair share. Okay, so I just wanted to share a couple of articles. So that was S&P, right? Easy to find. It's going to be on our intranet, or you can just Google S&P. But Colleen's already got it on our intranet. I wanted to share basically a compilation of, I'm going to just go through some quick one-line expectations for 2011. They're going to be from all different sources. I'll tell you the source, and then I'll read a line. So Wells Fargo, Mark Bittner, senior economist at Wells Fargo Securities, says housing is going to remain dead in the water through the middle of 2011. As foreclosures come back on the market, that will put downward pressure on prices. Morgan Stanley, analysts expect home prices in the U.S. to fall as much as 11% in 2012. We see the trough occurring in 2012 instead of our previous call of 2011. Trulia. Pete Flint, chief executive of Trulia, feels that rising mortgage rates will reduce housing demand in 2011. Nationally, prices will decline between 5 and 7%, with most of the decline occurring the first half of next year, 2011. RealtyTrack. They do quite a bit of foreclosure tracking, right? RealtyTrack says, we will see a rise in the number of pre-foreclosure homes over the next few months. He predicts that many of these homeowners will simply walk away from their homes. That's not good for the market, right? Fannie Mae, in late November, Fannie Mae released its housing forecast for that month. The report also included a forecast for home sales through 2011. When you compare their 2011 end-of-year predictions to the actual sales numbers through 2010, you basically have a flat line. So Fannie Mae says, hey, our sales are going to basically flatline through 2011. Moody's, Mark Zandi, the chief economist for Moody's Analytics, predicted another 8% drop in home prices through the third quarter of 2011. There will be no vicious self-reinforcing spiral down, but more home price declines are coming. Bloomberg, Nicholas Retsinis, the director of Harvard University's Joint Center for Housing, his report says, I don't suspect we're going to see any increases in the mortgage rate in the very near future, but what I do worry about is when those interest rates do finally turn, they may go up quickly. There's a lot more, what I'll do is I'll PDF this and I'll send that out, but there's a lot more just sort of one-line estimations of what we're looking at in 2011. One thing for you guys to Google on your own, something on your own, right? Go to the Wall Street Journal and Google, there's a story called Housing Recovery Stalls. I think that's a great article for you to read and understand where the market is, what may be happening.